Hi, and thanks for joining us today for the Atwood Lake Boats socially distanced Q&A session for the service department. My name is Cody Trimmer. I am in the service office. I'm here with Eric Snowd, who's our master technician. Today we're going to be going over some frequently asked questions for service. I'll kind of touch base on some, and then I'll be turning it over to Mr. Snowd. So we get a lot of questions asked throughout the year for service, so we thought it'd be a good opportunity to answer some of those questions direct. The first question that we get a lot, especially at the end of the season, is talking about winterization. What do I need to do for my boat? So with that being said, I'm going to turn it over to our master technician and have him kind of go over some pointers for winterization.
I think one of the most important things you can do with today's fuel injection motors is to condition your fuel and make sure it's run through the entire fuel system so it protects all the components, the electric fuel pump, and all that stuff that carburetors used to get run out of gas and dry. These have fuel in them all the time, so you want to have that fuel protected in there. Other than that, changing the gear oil is probably the second most important thing. Make sure there's no water in the lower unit so it can't freeze and expand and crack your lower unit. Then it's a good idea to change your crankcase oil and filter at the same time as well.
Another thing I want to add to that, aside from the motor side, a lot of questions we get asked, people that are putting their boats in storage, what can I do to prevent damage or anything I need to take off the boat? Anything perishable, food items, never leave cans, bottles, anything that could freeze and explode. Also too, there's always potential for varmint damage. It's not a bad idea to take anything that animals, critters could get in and make a nest, take those items off the boat, life jackets, things like that, noodles, rafts, anything like that, some canvas. Always put a trickle charge on your battery if you have that at home. And then maybe not a bad idea to put things like mothballs. I've heard people putting ivory soap or Irish Spring soap, things like that on there. Any kind of animal deterrent for mice, critters like that is always a good idea for winterization. Another question we always get is, coming into the spring, what are some things I need to do to my boat? What are some checklist items, things I need to watch for before actually coming out to use the boat the first time? Some of the things that I would recommend: make sure that you have good, adequate dock lines, make sure you have bumpers, make sure you have ample amount of life jackets for everybody on the boat, make sure that your battery is charged. Keys are another big item. It's not a bad idea to hide a set of keys on the boat. We get a lot of people come in here, forget their keys at home, lost their keys, drop them in the lake. Always keep an extra set of keys, maybe even 2 or 3 keys. Keep one at home, keep one in the car, keep one hidden on the boat. Some other things, I'll let Mr. Snowd touch on that. We'll go from there.
Like Cody said, I would always like to clean my boat at the beginning of the seasons, or even get it detailed so it's good and ready to be used, and it's clean, and you're not going to get dirty in it or anything like that. And then once you charge the battery, get it good and charged, because the smaller motors, they're not really designed, the charging system's not really designed to charge a dead battery. It's more to maintain a charge with a very small draw on the battery itself. So you get your battery good and charged, your boat clean, check your fuel connector condition, your lines, your steering, run the motor back and forth, check your shift and throttle, make sure all that's smooth, and then be ready for a good season.
Just add one more thing to that. We get a lot of questions, what kind of safety gear, things like that do I have to have? If you purchase a new boat from us, we take care of the safety package, we put it on there. However, if you have another craft or boat or something like that, the stress flags are very big, fire extinguishers, make sure that you have an anchor. We get a lot of distress calls, people broken down the lake. It helps us to go out and identify the boat if they are able to hang a distress flag on there. Like Mr. Snowd said, we offer a detailing service. We do a full detail of all the canvas work and everything. That's another great idea. And then first aid kit, never hurts to have a first aid kit. Sunscreen, make sure you have all those items with you. Next topic we're going to be hitting on is maintenance. Maintenance is a huge part throughout the season, during the off season. That's going to ensure that you're able to use the boat in an enjoyable fashion, not have to have breakdowns, disappointments, family out there can't use it. So with maintenance, very crucial throughout the year. Let Mr. Snowd talk on some key motor maintenance items, and I can hit on some other points when he's done.
Motor maintenance, so you want to have fresh gear oil in at the beginning of the season, which you're going to have that when you winterize it anyway, so that's going to be taken care of. And your crankcase oil and all that's going to be taken care of. So the rest of the service, you want to have everything greased up nice. Make sure your fuel's fresh and clean. So I'd also recommend at the beginning of the season, run that first tank of gas fairly low before you put new gas in it, so you're not brewing a big, a large tank full of not fresh fuel, stale fuel. That's a big one, and because fuel's probably the 90% of the problems with today's new motors.
Lights are a key part too. If you're going to be going out in the summer, especially 4th of July time, everybody's on the water at night. Nav lights, anchor lights, making sure that your light system's good, making sure your batteries are charged. If you're going to be out in the summer, a lot of people here especially, they're going out there listening to music, listening to their stereos. Not a bad idea to even consider, if you don't already have it, a secondary battery source. We do those here. Those are a great item to have. If the first battery dies, you can switch it to the second one. You can always start. Saves you from distress calls, or you can just primarily use that second battery to run your accessories, your lights, your stereo, things like that. So those are some good items to think about as well. Checking the condition of the tubes, making sure your pontoon is always level. We get a lot of tubes that get cracks and leaks and holes in them, so it's a good idea to get those repaired or checked if you do notice any kind of listing or anything like that. Just make sure your canvas is in good condition, your steering, your shift, your throttle, make sure it starts properly, your gauges work. So just always keep a little eye on things, making sure things are working properly throughout the season. So we get this question a lot too. When we're talking with customers, somebody may be new to boating or just maybe unfamiliar, we just kind of wanted to take the time to clarify, but what are the differences between a 2-stroke and a 4-stroke motor? The simplest way that I can put it is that a 2-stroke uses the mixed gas because it lubricates everything through the gas or the oil that's in the gas. And the 4-stroke uses just straight gas, just like your car. The oil's in there in the engine, and you change it as you would in your car. Those are the main differences. A couple years ago, maybe 10, 15 years ago, 2-strokes were king. Everything now is kind of going toward the 4-stroke. They're more efficient fuel-wise. They're cleaner. They're a lot quieter. So everything now is kind of going to the 4-stroke. So when you go to get gas, primarily keep that in mind of what type of engine you have, because if you put the wrong type of fuel in there, it could lead to catastrophic results. So just make sure you know the difference between a 2-stroke and a 4-stroke. We get a lot of questions about warranty. Really, that's just going to be up to the manufacturer's discretion. If you purchase a new boat, could have a 7-10 year warranty. You'll just have to check on that. Same thing with motors. It's all up to the package that you get with the motor. And then we get questions too about transferable warranties. You just have to consult with the manufacturer, see how much warranty is left on the boat or the motor. Now we do handle all warranty through Mercury, Suzuki, Yamaha here in service. Same thing with Sylvan, Barletta, and Harris. So if you have a newer boat and motor you have an issue with that you think it might be a manufacturer defect, please contact us here in service and we can see if we can get that remedied for you. We get a lot of questions too. Hey, I have an older pontoon, maybe 10, 15, 20 years old, and that's fine. Those are still great boats. They could be a great boat. A lot of upgrades that we offer are things like a redeck, and maybe the pontoon has carpet on initially. We can put vinyl on there or seagrass and kind of update the flooring. We put all new plywood in that down as well. We can do all new interior. We can put new seat sets in there, kind of configure the boat a little bit different accordingly. Put a new console in there. We can also reupholster the existing furniture and cushions that you have. As long as the foam's still good and they're not beyond repair, that may be a viable option as well. We also have a full canvas shop here, so we could do things like mooring covers, bimini tops, enclosures, basically any kind of canvas thing that you would kind of think up, we could probably do here. Also do canvas repairs, so long as the canvas is not totally destroyed or beyond repair, we could do that as well. We also offer sublet work for welding. We do vinyl repair. There's just a lot of things that you can do even if you have an older pontoon.
It's amazing how fresh and new an older pontoon can look.
Yeah, absolutely.
We put some new seats and stuff in there, clean them up, they look fresh and new.
Mm-hmm. And we have a lot of things on our website or our Facebook page that shows some before and after for redecks, for vinyl, canvas, things like that. So be sure to check it out. We have a lot of options that we can provide for you guys. We often get asked too, how many years of experience you guys have? Well, we've been here in this location since the late 60s. Mr. Snowd, I'll let him kind of talk on his previous experience. He also has a wealth of experience behind him, so I'll let him kind of talk on that and go from there.
I've been a mechanic, for outboard mechanic for over 30 years. Yamaha Master Tech, as one of the first in the country. Yeah, just been doing it for a long time. Come from Florida. Worked on a lot of big motors, big boats, and come back home to Ohio and enjoying the seasons and in the lake.
We're fortunate, very fortunate to have him here with us. As he mentioned, being a master tech is the cream of the crop for mechanics, technicians go. I mean, he's solved a lot of things that would stump most people. So you are in good hands coming here to Atwood Lake Boats to have service work done on your motor and or boat. Here at Atwood, we sometimes, especially now with COVID and everything going on, we're getting a lot of new customers, new faces coming down to the lake, and they're always asking, what's the horsepower limit? What can I bring down here? We're a 25 horse limit. What that means is anything above a 25 horse motor is not permissible on our lake. Anything below 25, 9, 2 horse, whatever you might have, totally legal. Being that we're a 25 horse lake does not mean that that's all we service. We service about any size of motor that's out there. We cater to the crowds at Tappan, Salt Fork, Seneca, Chautauqua, out of state, PA, you name it, we've dealt with the motors there. So we're not just totally affiliated with 25s. Now that's pretty much our bread and butter here. But outside of that, we do a lot of other services, other sizes as well.
Yeah, we can work on Mercury, Yamaha, Suzuki, some Hondas, 2 horsepower.
All the way up to 300, 350.
300 plus.
Yeah. And Mercury's coming out with a 450, which we haven't seen yet, but I have a feeling that it'll probably be soon.
People are going to want it.
We get a lot of calls now too, especially a lot of people are getting into boating. Do I need to buy a trailer if I buy a pontoon? I would say no.
No.
You don't need it. I mean, as long as you have a dock somewhere, whether it be here or another lake, you don't need it. There's people that have been here for 20, 30 years that have never had a pontoon trailer. But on the flip side, it comes down to the last, we last discussed about the motor size. If you have something that's bigger than a 25, then you certainly aren't going to be able to come to our lake here, but you could go to other lakes. And sometimes if you have a motor that's like a 9.9 or a 25, having a trailer is going to give you a world of options for hitting these other lakes in your area. So there's a lot of lakes out there you could potentially hit if you're paying attention to the horsepower limit. So, but overall, I wouldn't say you need it. But
the trailer is going to give you added freedom,
yeah,
and places to go and options of storing and all that. But you don't have to have one.
Right.
Certainly.
And then last question that we really get, we have a lot of customers, as we discussed at other lakes. Do you do service at other lakes aside from Atwood? That's kind of a touchy question because there's a lot of variables that play into that. The short answer is yes. And the reason that is because we offer pickup delivery service that allow us to go to different lakes, pick up the boat, bring it here. But I'm going to let Master Tech explain why it's awesome and why it's always a viable option to bring the boat here rather than working at their lake.
It's the better option for when you have an emergency or the boat won't run at all, to try to get it started and to deal with it. You can always do a better job at the shop and do a better repair. Then there's also issues with the EPA and oil in the water and fuel in the water. If the boat's at the shop, the random thing, there's always something that you don't have on a service call and you have it here. And it's way quicker and easier to do a better job at the shop. But for emergency situations, yes.
Mm-hmm. And rates just apply accordingly. If you have any questions on that, contact us in service. We'd be more than happy to go over that with you or just discuss options. But as we mentioned, our biggest thing is quality, making sure that we're putting the best product, the best service out there. And more often than not, it's best to bring the boat back here to ensure that we can do that.
Yeah, we want to do a good job and have the boat running like it was new when it leaves here for you.
Yep, absolutely. Thanks for joining us today. appreciate everybody, sticking around to watch the video. I know it may be a little lengthy. Have some questions down the road. We'll be on hand all winter long, all year round in service. Contact myself, Andy in service as well. More than glad to help you guys out. If we can't answer it, we have a guy here that can. So feel free to send us your questions, your comments. If there's anything else you guys want us to discuss, we can do another session next month or sometime. Send us your questions. We'll be more than glad to take time to do a session and answer them. Thanks.
Thank you.